Vi, you ready? Vi, you ready? You ready? Yeah, I'm going to go get her right now. Mr. Mayor, it's 7 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the November 17th, 2020 meeting of the Irmo Town Council to order. I'd like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation by Council Member Kelly Bush. Please rise. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, please give us the wisdom to make good decisions tonight and bless the town of Irmo. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Bush. Want to know that the meeting tonight is being broadcast live over the internet. When you come to the podium, please speak clearly, give us your name, talk slowly and succinctly, and we will have it for prosperity. I'd like to begin with the reading of the minutes from the October 6th meeting. We all received it electronically. Are there any amendments to the minutes of October 6, 2020? Seeing none, can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Sickinger and Mr. Bush. All in favor of accepting the minutes of the meeting from October 6th, raise your right hand. All opposed, unanimous. Can I get a motion, or we all received the October 20th, 2020 meeting minutes, and is there any changes to that?
So moved.
Can I make a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any modifications or changes to those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes as written for October 20th, 2020, raise your right hand. Thank you. Report of standing, administrative briefing. Mr. Brown, are there any changes to the administrative briefing?
No, sir. I placed some handouts up there for each of you. We'll get into those later, but I have nothing else to add.
Actually, we got those letters, so thank you. All right. Do we have any changes from Mr. Brown to the administrative briefing? Seeing none. New in-town businesses. We have a couple. Mr. Sickinger, can you help us with those?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. New in town businesses, a good number. Advanced Diagnostics, Carolina Cardiology and Vascular, and the Men's Clinic. All of those are at One Wellness Boulevard. Warriors Pride Transportation, BMR Performance, Cromer Counseling, 5 Star Therapy, Monster Homes, Mutual State Life Insurance, SPA or Spa Placidity, Spray Solutions, Conscious Living, Loveland Coffee, and Nichols Financial.
I thought Loveland Coffee was already in business.
It's a new location, Mr. Mayor.
Ah, we got a new location. Cool, thank you. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Consideration of communications. We have a couple of presentations. I'd like for council to meet me in the front down here. Okay. Let me see. We have as you know, we have a long-term dedicated patron of the town of Irmo, Barbara Whelm, who is not doing so good right now. And we wanted to reach out to her and give her a special presentation, and that is the key to the city of Irmo, or to the town of Irmo. This key will open any lock, any door in the town, and we wanted to present it to your mom. And we wanted to present it to her because she has been instrumental in helping the town through the orchestra, through supporting us, not only with her service, but financially with the Lexington Medical Center. And we just wanted to let her know that we really, really appreciate that. And I wanted to give this to her, and if you would give that to her and say, you now have the key to all of our hearts in Irmo.
Yes, sir, I will do that. And she, she loves the town of Irmo, and we
Yes.
certainly appreciate this. And she appreciates the platform that Lexington Medical has given her to allow her to do this. And this will mean a lot to her. And I'll be going home to give it to her tonight because she has left her rehab facility and is at home. So
Good.
I will give this to her tonight. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Miss Jolynn, is that her back there? She's not here yet? That's not her?
That's Linda Engel.
Linda Engel, Jolynn's bridal, Linda Engel, I'm sorry. Thank you.
If you have brides for daughters, you know who that is.
Come on up. Linda Engel of Jolynn's bridal.
That's right.
Thank you, ma'am. Come over here. I wanted to, the town council has recognized small businesses of the month for the last, 4 months now, 3 months? And you are it for this month of November 2020. Now, this is a special plaque because we know that you cause a lot of fathers and mothers to cry and spend a lot of money in Irmo as the surrounding areas putting on weddings. In fact, my wife loves to drive by your shop and look at the different wedding dresses you have in the window, so she can kind of hint that that's what she would like to have. Not that we're getting married again, but that maybe one of our daughters may come to you and buy one. But Jolynn, this is in recognition of being the Small Businesses a Month for the town of Irmo for November 2020. Jolynn's bridal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I understand you're going to renew your vows.
Renew my, yeah. She loved me so much, she gave me COVID. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Thank y'all very much. We have a fiscal year 2019-2020 audit report from Todd and Highsmith. If you would come up to the podium, we all have copies electronically and hard copies also. I would love for Mr. Todd Highsmith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Town Council. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys on this evening. I'm going to keep it brief, just hit a couple of highlights in the report to let you know how the town did for the last fiscal year. Looking at the financial statement report, if you'll flip over to the first letter in there, the first page, is called the Independent Auditor's Report. Basically, what this says is that the financial statements are the town's responsibility, and our responsibility is to express an opinion after we conduct an audit. And it's our pleasure to say that these financial statements are fairly presented and can be relied upon for further use of the town. Flipping over to page 9 is what we call the statement of net position, the balance sheet. And this is, like we've talked about in the past, this is as if it was being run like a business, okay? It shows all your fixed assets on here, and any debt of the town would be listed on this schedule as well. For the year ended June 30th, 2020, we had a total assets of the town of $11,259,900.
Excuse me, Tom,
Yes,
you
sir.
said page 9?
Page 9 in the,
I don't have a page 9.
It's in the thicker book. You should have each
Got one
received a thick book.
I got 2 books.
I got one book.
They're all the same.
Okay, so they didn't quite make it up there. That's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
We'll get you a copy real quick.
Thank you.
That makes sense. I was wondering where the rest of it was.
Yeah, this is the crux of it. The other report we just touch on briefly. This might make a little more sense to you then.
Okay, hold on a second then.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
I'll let you catch up.
Thank you. Ah, here we go. Page 9, okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, so the total assets of the town at the end of the year were $11,259,941, of which almost $5 million was in cash and equivalents and the equity and pooled cash. Then we have about $62,000 that's restricted cash. The capital assets were $5,606,433. The liabilities of the town were $5,829,047, of which $4,710,821 is the net pension liability that will only be due if the South Carolina retirement system fails. So our total net position of the town down at the bottom in the right-hand column is $6,099,008, of which $430,563 is unrestricted, meaning the town can use it for whatever purposes it needs. On page 10 is what we call the statement of activities. If you look in the far right-hand column, the totals column, 3 numbers up from the bottom of that column is really what we focus on in this report. This is the change in our net position. And you can see it decreased $523,839. Most of that decrease is related to depreciation expense on the fixed assets and to the adjustment for the net pension liability that we have to make every year because that liability keeps increasing. So it's always going to be like that, at least it looks like. So that is the reason why it's such a large decrease for the year for the town. On page 11 is really the fund financial statements that really tells you what fund, the general fund, the ABC permanent fund, and the capital projects fund did as far as the balance sheet for the year. Our total governmental funds had a asset balance of $5,555,677. The total liabilities of the town, accounts payable and deposit liabilities, were $229,242. And our total fund balances were $5,326,435, of which $5,028,878 is unassigned, meaning that most of it is free to spend how the town sees fit from the fund financial statements. On page 13 is really the income statement. We call it Statement of Revenues Expenditures. For the year, we had a total revenues of $6,504,430, of which most of that is the general fund. Our expenditures were $6,613,982, and then we had transfers out to the Okra Strut Fund of $15,000. So basically, really, our general fund decreased $112,571, and the capital projects fund decreased $11,981. For an overall decrease of $124,552 for the year. But once again, it still left us in a favorable fund balance position with the unrestricted position that we have. Let's see, on page, I don't go through the footnotes in detail. There's a lot of good information in there. If you ever have any questions on them as you're sitting there reading them, just call me. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I do point out on page 28 is the capital assets of the town, and it lets you know how much we have in each category, the land improvements, buildings, furniture, vehicles, and how much we've depreciated on those assets. The last page I just want to touch on briefly is on page 41. And this is our budget to actual comparison for the general fund. As you will see, our revenues were ahead of budget by approximately $180,000. Our expenditures were over budget by just under $300,000, or over budget just under $300,000. So we did have that shortfall of $112,571 in our general fund. The other report that you guys have there is the smaller, thinner report. That's just basically letting the town council know how the audit went with the management of the town. We did not have any issues with the town management at all. They all did a wonderful job getting us all the information we needed, very timely. They signed the management representation letter saying they turned everything over we asked for to review and audit. But due to the size of the town's accounting staff, it's kind of small. We just do ask the town council to keep reviewing the monthly financial statements and stay involved with the town. The town has done a good job mitigating the segregation of duties risk pretty much as possible. But we can't eliminate it all without hiring more people, and we don't recommend that. So, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Council? Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question. On the short version here, because that's what I got in advance. I've been told by others that this really isn't a significant change here, but when you talked about on page 2 of the short,
Yes.
the audit for the necessary adjustment for the net pension liability
Yes.
to the tune of $200,000.
Yes, sir.
Considering the size of our staff today and previous, this is a unrealized liability. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So in your experience, I understand that no books are going to be 100% on every audit all the way through.
Right.
Does that represent a significant adjustment in the liability, or is that insignificant, or is it somewhere in between?
We don't consider it significant because it's really mandated by the accounting rules, the GASB, Governmental Accounting Standards Board, that we have to adjust to whatever the South Carolina Retirement Systems report is every year. And it's all driven by market values and life expectancies, and they go through their own audit. I can't remember who did it this past year for them, but they have a big firm come in and do an audit of the pension plan to determine these values based on market fluctuations, based on allocations, and based on life expectancies. There's a whole number of factors that go into it.
Okay, thank you.
Bill? Yeah.
Todd, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it for
Yes, sir.
everybody else. That's not something we can control, is it?
No, sir.
Is that something our management was supposed to know going in? No.
No.
Okay.
No. This arrived back in, I think it was 2014, maybe 2015. The Governmental Accounting Standards Board was looking at all the pension plans across the country, and that was the time where a lot of them were potentially failing. So they thought the towns and municipalities had an unrecognized liability potentially off balance sheet. So they said, we've got to disclose this. The town has no control over it whatsoever. It's all driven by the South Carolina retirement system.
And my last question / comment is this is a pretty clean letter.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Yes, sir.
There's a couple of significant things there that you've got listed, but this is routine stuff.
This is routine stuff. We didn't come across anything unusual at all during our audit. Like I said, the staff of the town do a good job during the year documenting things, and they are very, very organized.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Todd.
okay.
Mr. Bush? You got something?
This may be an appropriate time to recognize our town staff as doing a good job, so thank you.
Okay. Ms. Condon?
I agree with Mr. Bush.
Okay. Well, thank you. We appreciate your audit, and sounds like we're in a good shape.
Yes, sir.
Despite our size and our accounting retirement pack, we don't have that many people retired, do we? Bob, how many people we got retired besides you? How many people got retired?
Nobody in the near future. Me
Yeah.
and Gail are the only two that would be
Okay.
in the next couple of years.
And we're not accepting any retirement. Okay, so we're cool.
Maybe there's a chance that this positive audit shows up in the local newspaper.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great evening. Thanks.
Okay. Update, Mr. Witt. Can you give us an update on the recycling event we had?
Yes, October 3rd, first Saturday in October, at Irmo High School, Richland County, Lexington County, the town of Irmo, and the city of Columbia put on a recycling event. It was the biggest recycling event in the Columbia area. We had over 1,269 vehicles come through that day in a 4-hour period. That set a record. We collected electronics, household hazardous waste, paper, scrap metal, tires, household goods, and cooking oil. So we had a total of 67 tons of material recycled that day. It was an incredible turnout. At one point, I stood out on the sidewalk on St. Andrews Road and looked towards Harbison and looked up the hill towards the Crossroads Middle School, and traffic was backed up that far each direction. So it was a really busy day and very successful event, and we hope to continue it again next year.
Do you only have one a year? Is that what the deal? I mean,
Yes.
that's why you had so many people. I mean,
Yes, just one a year. These events are very expensive to put on, time-consuming, tough to organize. It takes a lot of labor. We had 125 people working that day, and you stayed busy. You might have had a 5-minute break, but that was about it. We were all busy the whole time. Everybody, the garbage, the head of the garbage department in Richland County, he was there, Art, and Miss Sanders from Lexington County, and everybody was there working, doing something. You stayed busy the whole time, and it was real successful. So we hope to continue it, and once a year is about all we can do at this time. So anyhow, good news. Everybody worked together and got along, and turned out good.
cool. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything? I have a Bill.
I just thought it was interesting that we all had the same question, and Whit answered it very successfully, so thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I did have a number of people who reached out to me to thank me for the railroad crossing.
That's
getting
what I was
taken
going to
care
bring
of.
up. Thank you.
Well, hey, great minds. They were very excited to cross over those railroad tracks without losing their bumpers. So.
Losing your rear ends. Hey, thank you very much, Council. We accomplished something in, 12 months that was said it was impossible to be done. And I give y'all credit for that because we got on them, we got CSX here, and we made them hold them to their commitment and not let them slide because of COVID or whatever else. We let them slide a couple of months, but we didn't let them drop it. And that's proof that when we put our minds to it and we work together as a team, we get things happening. And I'm sure that that's a very good positive thing. We had a water leak over here on Finsbury. Same thing. It was going on for months, and I never knew about it until the citizen finally called and said, hey, my house has got mold growing underneath it because of this constant leak. And they called city. City said, oh, we'll come out and dig a hole. We can't find it. Well, it's their leak, obviously. Well, we got the leak discovered. It's been patched. It's being patched. If it's not fixed yet, it should be fixed very quickly. But that's, again, be able to build a relationship up with the City of Columbia, CSX, Richland County. We were able to pick the phone up and make things happen. And I appreciate the council for sticking with everybody and doing that and keeping everybody to the fire.
I think the people on Finsbury are very grateful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As y'all know, Mr. Dustin Johnson has pulled off a significant victory at the Masters down in Augusta. And I got to give him all the accolades of the world, because Justin grew up down the street from me in Arches Court, and he also is a resident of Irmo, was a resident of Irmo when he grew up, and all I heard all weekend was Irmo, Irmo. Justin Johnson's sister came from Irmo, South Carolina. Justin Johnson was from Irmo, South Carolina. Whoever heard of Irmo except for the world now, and it's because of this young gentleman who can play golf like crazy. So, in that honor, I would like to put together a resolution, and actually I need council's unanimous support on this. I'd like to rename a street in the town for Dustin Johnson. I believe there's a dog leg left that we can call it Dustin Johnson Drive. He doesn't hit it left, he hits it right. Well, okay, dog leg right. We'll have to make it a street. We have a street in the mind that's it's curved and it's a town street that we own. We can rename it pretty quickly. But with the help of Justin Johnson's, I think his grandfather still lives in town. Okay, with the help of him and hopefully some publicity from the Irmo News, wherever they are, Al, maybe we can get this resolution passed and get him here to dedicate the street that we get to him. And I believe there's some people calling already to donate some funds to that project to get it renamed. So I would love to make that happen. And I guess we need to put that on the next agenda, and we can, if nobody's, ain't nobody against it.
Just a little sidebar, I listen to the Golf Channel in my car 24/7 pretty much.
Really?
Just so that you know, he's in St. Bart's right now. He's chilling. He's chilling right now. So he didn't come right back to Irmo, but he'll be here.
He'll be here? Okay. Great. All right. Finally, my last receipt of communication, we all got a letter from Miss Miriam Atrium from the Lake Murray Country, Capital Country, and she wrote a letter to Mr. Glassmeyer and copied all of us on it, George Glassmeyer, and as an attempt to figure out a detente or have a meeting with Mr. Glassmeyer to find out why there was so much animus between him and Lake Murray Country and how much money she made and as a leader of the capital, Lake Murray Capital Country. She had this meeting with him. Apparently, it went fairly okay. Mr. Glassmeyer and Miss Atrium met, had coffee, talked or whatever, and from what I understand, she invited Mr. Glassmeyer to come to their board of directors meeting to explain to the board why she shouldn't be making the money she makes, and maybe she can get it worked out. But I just want to make sure that y'all knew that that meeting did happen, and we all got a copy of the letter. The meeting didn't happen, and Ms. Atrium has invited Mr. Glassmeyer to work out his animus towards her and get it done. All right. Presentation by citizens. This is a time when citizens can come and make presentations on anything on our agenda that they would like to talk about. So far, Mr. David Stewart has signed up, 101 Glossop Circle. You want to speak on something on our agenda?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Since the election to your present position, I would suppose many citizens have expressed their support for your service and your policies, but I can also expect that many others have opposed your decisions on some matters. I have been on both sides on some issues before you. I am here to state my thoughts regarding item H under New Business, Section 10. You are proposing an increase to the garbage recycling trash fee presently contracted with Tyler Sanitation, I believe. My fee for this service in 2018.
That's item F, you mean, right? Not H.
Item
F.
Item F, correct. Mhm.
Okay,
Did I say H?
Yes, sir.
I meant item F, correct.
okay.
My fee for this service in 2018 was $210. It increased to $225 in 2019, a 7% increase. It further went up to $255 this year, a change of nearly double the percentage, up to 13%. And your proposal of a $45 expansion would result in a 17% change. I cannot speak for other homeowners in the town, but this fee is over 1/3 of my current tax bill. That's how much it accounts for. None of us yet know how these numbers will change this time in 2 years, but you are asking to accept this proposal without our knowledge of what is behind them. So for the purposes of clarification, I pose these questions. Number one, when does the contract with our current provider, Tyler Sanitation, expire? What's the current cost, and what has the contractor hinted as to the future cost? Number two, how does this fee compare with similar arrangements in other jurisdictions regarding cost, provisions, and extra pickups? Number three, although this increase is proactive and will not take effect until the fall of 2022, what is to ensure the citizens that the approval of this increase will not result in any additional increase between now and then? And lastly, I shouldn't have to mention this, but I will for the record. Your administration must be reminded that for all the efforts to attract business, to set a welcoming environment for families, a continuing march to increase cost to live in this town may end up driving people away. Your proposed fee to the people who live here, an increase over 42% over 4 years cannot be sustained without evaluation of the alternatives. You owe it to the people who live here,
All right,
after
Mr.
already dealing
Mr. Stewart,
with the increase
thank you
of the
very
fee,
much.
a thorough explanation
Mr.
for the
Stewart, thank you
for the
very much.
proposal.
Your time is up. I
And yes,
appreciate
we
your
can count
comments.
votes too.
You can have a seat now, sir. Thank you very much. We got it. Let me reiterate that if you do come to the microphone, you have a 3-minute time limit to give us your thoughts. I let him go a little longer since he was the only one signed up, and I don't mind doing that. But we got your comments, and we will, when we get to that part of the meeting, we'll explain to you our thoughts and why it has to go up and why we are proposing this slight increase. Is there anybody that didn't sign up that wants to speak to council on agenda items? Seeing none, we'll start our meeting. Unfinished business, second and final reading of ordinance 20-23. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Mr. Sickinger, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Sickinger and Mr. Bush. Okay, Mr. Sickinger?
Yeah, as last time, I'm generally in favor, although I did recently come across some resident communications that expressed some concerns about traffic on that stretch of road and the difficulties of getting out and turning left or turning right, or just generally the backup there. And while I'm still in favor, I would be also interested in talking to SCDOT about remediation of traffic and proposing some sort of, I don't know, broadening of that road.
Okay. Mr. Bush?
So to Eric's comments, I do believe there was a project underway to widen that road, and somehow or another they squandered money away, and Unfortunately, I think that's been postponed. So maybe it's another CSX option where we can get in there and
Start beating people up?
try to get them to meet their commitment. But, I mean, it makes sense where it's at to go general commercial.
But that, I think that has to do with the penny.
Your microphone for the record.
Oh, okay. I think this has to do with the penny that they lost.
Yes, it sure does.
One of the pennies. 40 million of them, huh?
But it is a good location for commercial.
Yes, it is.
Any more comments? Seeing none, will the clerk read the roll, please? All in favor of the clerk read the roll?
Yay.
Yay?
Yay.
Yay.
Yes. Thank you. Item B, approval of the Sister Hazel contract for the 2021 orchestra. We have gotten a copy of the contract, and Mr. Slaughter, can you enlighten us? Did they accept our amendment to the contract, or?
Mr. Mayor, Council, yes, they've indicated that that's agreeable to them. So, process is you guys agree it, I get Mr. Brown to sign it, we send it to them, and they send us back signatures. But yes, they've agreed that would be okay.
So, okay, so they agreed to allow us to cancel 30 days before the show.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Moore, do you have that in writing over there, or can you?
Contract does not say that. I can write it in handwriting, but the contract does not say that.
Do you have it, Larry? You have the actual wording again? I think I saw it one time.
I did. I don't have it with me, but I drafted it as an addendum to the contract, that in the event of a federal declared disaster that required closing of such events, town council could give 30 days notice to council, forfeiting the $10,000 deposit that's already on hand, but we'd owe nothing more. The $10,000 would be the full
No, that's
damages.
different. I mean, obviously in the case of a federal declared disaster, but my understanding was what they wanted was simply that gives them the unfettered arbitrary right to say, we change our mind 30 days ahead of time, and they keep 10,000 and we're done.
Right. I didn't ask for a federal disaster thing, but I mean, is that what they're requiring? Be a federal disaster declaration?
The order of events here is that I drafted that and sent it to you guys and asked if that's making sure that that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
And I got response back that, yeah, that's what you wanted. I presented it to them and they said, okay.
Okay, but did it?
I haven't seen that. I mean, apparently there's an addendum that I have not looked at.
I did copy on the email. I distributed all you guys and you and Bob as well. You're on the email.
Again, I'm looking.
You have a copy of it, Bob?
I don't have a copy with me. I mean, I got the responses from the council. Okay.
Yeah.
The contract that I was handed tonight doesn't have that language in it. Barry, what you asked me, and I'm just trying to get clarified. What
Sure.
you asked me was, does the agreement contain a 30-day escape clause with them keeping $10,000? This contract does not contain that. Now, I have not seen the addendum, and I don't doubt that Larry sent it to me. I just haven't seen it. But it's not in here. But apparently, what's been drafted says that, if we have a tornado or a nuclear bomb or something, we can get out of it 30 days early. I don't think that's what you said you wanted, but that apparently is what you said it was okay when he sent it to you by email. Is that lawful? Something that says that? Yes, if that's what your agreement is.
Okay, well, I got a copy of it. Here it is right here. Bill, Kelly, Ms. Condon, and Eric all agreed that it worked for them. that language. I will send you that language, Jake.
Well, look, if all five of you agree that the language works and it says what he says, you can agree to that if you want to.
Okay,
I mean, is it legal, lawful? Yes.
okay.
Is that exactly what I understood you wanted?
No, not what I wanted, but that's me. Okay,
If everybody agrees,
that's fine.
it's okay.
Okay, I got it. I'm gonna send it to you, Jake.
Mr. Mayor, does this require a motion for discussion?
Yeah.
You know,
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we continue to discuss the approval of the Sister Hazel contract.
There's nothing to discuss anymore. Is there a motion for approval of the Sister Hazel contract as amended on, what day was that? 10/30/2020? It's a second,
I'll second that.
okay. Any conversation?
One thing, this would cover pandemics. If this
If it's
one
a federally
continues.
declared disaster.
Huh?
If it's a federally declared disaster.
Well, it is. But it would also cover hurricane.
It's not, but go ahead.
I think we could. Well, I think it is, but this would cover hurricanes, tornadoes. Okay. If we called it off with 30 days to go, it's got to be for some major reason. Otherwise, we ought to be ashamed.
In light of the circumstances that surrounded this past Okra strut, I think they've been very flexible with us.
Yeah.
Extremely generous. So I think we probably need to give them some finality.
Yeah.
Any more comments? Seeing none, will clerk read the roll, please?
Yay.
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 No. Thank you. New business, item A, first reading of ordinance 2024. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. Oh,
Mrs. Condon, is there a second?
I'll second.
Who's that, Bill? Bill, okay. Ms. Condon, would you like to?
When we had our workshop meeting at Mr. Moore's office, I'm still using the pen, Mr. Moore, thank you very much. We realized that we needed one workshop and one meeting, and that we're the only town other than Calhoun Springs that doesn't do that. And, you know, even though this is quite a distinction, I think we've already had one workshop and it turned out well. I think we were all honest and forthright and apolitical. And I think it's an effective way to do business. So I'm in favor.
Mr. Dennison.
We've talked about this ad nauseum at this point, and I understand what ad nauseum is, trust me. So we just need to move along.
Okay. Mrs. Sickinger?
yeah, I agree. Same. The only thing I'd add is I'd encourage residents to come to those planning meetings, those workshops. Excuse me. They're valuable.
Mr. Bush?
I agree with all the above.
Okay. Will the clerk read the roll, please?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, somebody needs to make an amendment and add in what I highlighted,
Oh,
so that we don't have to do this again.
Yes, we need to make an amendment.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, Bob, I gotta find the words, okay. To amend ordinance 2024.
You'd like to make a motion to amend
Yeah, I'd
ordinance
like to make
20?
a motion to amend, please,
Okay.
to remove, does anybody want to second that?
I'll second it. Go ahead.
To remove from first sentence, quote, first, and also change Tuesday from plural to singular. Remove S.
From the first sentence, okay.
Okay.
Been properly moved for motions and second. Any more?
Vote the amendment first.
Yeah, for the amendment. Does clerk read the roll for the amendment, please?
Yay.
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 Yes. All right. Back to the original ordinance amended. We have any comments on that? Any more comments? None? This is just housekeeping, really. I mean, we've already beat this horse to death, so. Mr. Clerk, will you read the roll for the approval of the ordinance?
Yay.
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 Yes. Okay, thank you. First reading of ordinance 2025 for a local hospitality tax. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Sickinger and Mr. Bush. Go ahead, Mr. Sickinger, you have any comments?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this meeting for a long time on a hospitality tax. Considering looking at our town's budget, I know that we try to be really careful with our funds, and the council and Bob is a great steward of the town's funds. At the same time, we are one of the few municipalities without a property tax, a millage, and this is a source of revenue for the town that will allow us to continue to stay in the green. When we look at things like increase trash fees, how much can the town shoulder without passing it along to residents? When I think about things like the expansion of the town, things like blue granite, and overall expenses rising, things that the police want to do, things that the town wants to do, I realize that really our only option, rather than a millage, is increasing the franchise fee again, which I don't think is something I would ever want to do, because it puts that burden on every single resident in town. And hospitality tax is a tiny little piece on a bill, on a restaurant bill. But it represents a significant increase in revenue to the town. And given a binary between a franchise fee and or some other sort of exorbitant, nasty tax on our residents, this allows some relief from those sorts of things. I'm in favor.
Thank you. Mr. Bush.
I agree with most of what Eric said, and I'm in favor of the tax. We've discussed a lot of different options over the last several workshops, and this makes the most sense right now. So.
Okay, Mr. Danielson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. We've talked about this in the workshops and some other things, and and I pretty much understand we need to do this. I'm really not happy putting any pressure on our small businesses. God knows we have enough pressure. Even though the pressure is on them to write the check and send it in, it's money they've collected. But I do want to say the one reason I am grudgingly supporting this is historically, from my research, it's 50 to 70% of the income from the hospitality tax is not shouldered by the taxpayers of that community. It's shouldered by people visiting the community. It's half the people, for instance, that eat at Matthias don't live in Irmo. So that's what I want to make sure that people understand. Most of this a lot of this hospitality tax is paid by visitors to the community. Everywhere around us, you're going to pay a hospitality tax, no matter where you go. Outside of the town of Irmo, you're going to Richland, Lexington, they all have it. The town of Lexington has enough hospitality tax where they could lend out $1 million to small businesses over COVID-19. So that's the purpose. I eat in Lexington all the time. I pay the hospitality tax. I just want, this is a step that we can relieve some of the burdens, Mr. Stewart's. We're all sick about that, Mr. Stewart. I've got to tell you, I'm sick about this thing. But this is the attempt to take the burden off the shoulder of our townspeople. So, just wanted to give that explanation. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Condon?
I agree. It's a reasonable source of revenue.
Okay. Well, I've got my ears to the ground, and I get it, Mr. Danielson, that it's paid for by the sale of foods. It's just a added $2 or 2 cents on a dollar that's collected by the town's business. But they're going to have to absorb that. They're going to have to raise their fees, the cost of goods by such a dollar that they can justify the accounting, the remitting the money to the town. That's all a cost. I mean, your accounting fees are not free when you provide payroll. They're collecting this money and have to keep track of the remittance is not free. They have to pay somebody to do that. Either the small business does it themselves or they pay an accounting firm to do it. At this time, with the pandemic going on, I think it's a little bit much to ask our businesses to do. And I think we have to be mindful that, yes, we need the revenue. We can certainly use it. The town is not in dire straits right now, but being a former restaurateur, I know what a pain and what this actually will cause the small businesses. And I'm using Sammy as an example here. Sammy just got his tax bill for his property and his home, over $7,000 he has to come up with by January 15th. And that's a lot of money to have to raise over and above paying his employees. So if Sammy's out of business because he can't afford to raise his prices of his sandwiches and stuff, another whatever he needs to accomplish to cover this thing, he's going to run off the little bit of customers he has. And he doesn't want to have to do that. But again, you're right, Bill. It's not running off the customers locally. We have a dedicated pool of loyal Irmo residents that support our businesses. Mm-hmm. And the people out of town coming in may not even know that they're paying an extra 2 cents on a dollar or whatever he raises his price to justify the accounting fees and stuff. So with that in mind, I would hope that we consider that. This is the first of 2 readings. So I would like for the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, sorry, you have any more comments?
Yeah, I just want to point out again, page 13 of the long form that we got today, total expenditures, 6.6 million, total revenues, 6.5 million. Our revenues are going to go down this year because we don't have business license fees as much because people are spending less and because of the pandemic. Second is when I talked about this on Facebook, when it came up, someone said, well, is that going to raise the price of my sandwich when I go out to eat at X restaurant? And I said, nope, because that restaurant already has a hospitality tax. I don't think this is really, I certainly appreciate everything that you said, Mr. Mayor, and I can understand that concern. Mm-hmm. But that's why I'm in favor.
Okay. Thank you. Any more comments? Will the clerk read roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Ms. Condon?
Yay?
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Mayor Walker?
No. Okay. First reading of ordinance 2026 to do some house cleanup here. Is there a motion for approval, first reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Sickinger?
I'm always in favor of a house cleanup, and this is pretty simple. I'm in favor.
Mr. Bush?
Same.
Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none, clerk read the roll.
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Ms. Condon?
Yay?
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yay.
Mayor Walker?
Yes. Item D, approval of resolutions 2006 to rescind the appointment of the substitute municipal judge. Is there a motion for approval? Or motion for resolution?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bush?
I think this is an administrative action, and I support it.
Okay. Ms. Condon?
I agree.
Okay, Mr. Bush, Danielson?
Why are we in the weeds here? Why are we in the weeds on this?
Sir?
Why are we in the weeds on this? Is this not an administrative issue?
This is an administrative issue, but council appointed her the duties in the town of Irmo.
Okay, so that was before my time, so
Right.
that's something I just learned. Thank you for clearing that up
That's
for me.
Yeah. Mr. Sickinger? All right, will the clerk read the roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Ms. Condon?
Yay?
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yay.
Mayor Walker?
Yes. Item E, Mr. Danielson, approval to award $250,000 to Irmo Future Growth Corporation. Is there a motion for approval?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to defer this item.
Okay,
I don't have enough information.
All right.
My conference call today did not happen.
okay.
So if we could defer this,
To next
next
meeting
meeting.
or
our next meeting will be fine.
next meeting?
Yeah.
All right,
We can pick it up in the workshop too.
Yeah. We can,
we
take
can
up
talk
at the
about it at the
workshop.
workshop and pick it up at the next meeting, okay.
That'd be fine.
All right, can we need a motion to defer that?
Motion to defer.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Danielson and Mr. Sickinger. You want to defer this until next meeting?
Yeah, we'll have the workshop, we'll talk about it, and then
And then the
I'll
next
have the
meeting?
information I need to,
When's the next meeting, Bob?
December 15th.
Okay, so we're going to defer this until December 15th.
Will we have a workshop between now and then?
We will not have a workshop scheduled because December 1st, which would be a normal meeting, is going to be the tree lighting, the state of the town, and the oyster chamber thing. So if you want to have a workshop, we can always have
We'll just call one?
all one.
right.
Yeah. All right. Will the clerk read the roll?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Ms. Condon?
Yay?
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yay.
Mayor Walker?
Yes. Okay, approval to set the garbage fee for the residential portion of the town of $300 per year. I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And I appreciate Mr. Stewart, you coming forward and telling us your views on it, and you are absolutely right. We have increased the garbage fee from $210 in 2018 to where it is now in Lexington County at $255, and I believe in Richland County it's $275. Is that correct? Yeah, okay. So what we're trying to do here is get in front of this. We got a letter today, actually this week, from Waste Management. They're increasing the fee, the tipping fee that we are getting charged to dump trash that we are collecting in the town at the collection center by a significant amount of money, effective December 1st, 2020. And for us to absorb that and to cover those increases, we have to either have a cushion in our waste fund, or we have to continue to go back to the town and go back to the citizens and say, we need to, A, get rid of recycling because we can't afford it, or B, we need to increase the fees because we want to have recycling, we want to keep that. That's just one portion of the garbage fees. This is not Tyler deciding to charge us more. It's what the county is charging us to dump all of the garbage that Tyler is collecting and bringing to their landfills. I think we're confident that a flat rate of $300 per year will be significant enough to build enough cushion that when we have these increases, these unexpected increases from the tipping fees, that we can absorb it for not the next year, but for several years down the road. And this is effective on 2022 tax bill, so you have a whole year to adjust to it. I think that, I mean, that's what I'm thinking that we need to do. So, Ms. Connor?
I agree with Mr. Stewart about the expense. It's a darn shame. And although this is going to sound like a cliche, part of the reason is China. They were taking most of our recycled stuff, and now they're not. For whatever, well, I think we know what reason. Anyway, we can't change the amount. This is what it cost, and Irmo's already contributing. But I am sorry. I really am. I'm going to have to pay it too, so I apologize.
And this is across both counties, so it's not
Yeah.
one county over the other. It's a flat rate across both counties, since Irmo's divided both sides. So. Mr. Bush?
Yeah, I agree with, I am a citizen, and I have heartburn over trash fees. We have systemic problems. The United States is just to wad it up and throw it in a landfill, and these prices are not going to continue to go down. They're going to continue to go up. And Mr. Mayor gave a pretty good explanation of trying to build a cushion so we don't have to keep raising it every year, that we can, and that money, will obviously with the audit, you'll know where that money's sitting. But, you know, it'll provide us a cushion. It's not kicking in until next year. I hate it. I hate it. But, I mean, we have to do garbage collection. Sorry.
Bill?
I'm not a fan of this, and I don't know why we need a cushion. I know intellectually why we need a cushion, but you know, I think we have to prove to the people of the town that the money is necessary versus being proactive and collecting it ahead of time. This is I got to put my stake in the ground on this.
Okay. Mr. Second?
Yeah, I'm kind of of two minds of this as well. The longer I've had it weigh on me. It's frustrating that residents are seeing, and you know, I get bills, I pay them, whatever they say, I know I owe it, so I just pay it. But at the same time, you know, when I think about going from 190 or 220 and 250 and those sorts of increases, when your income isn't increasing, it can be a real heartache. And part of my frustration here is that is the decision by people before me to roll this out over a period of time and take that money from the trash fund to pay into that. So essentially, to be clear, because I don't want residents to think that something that we have done as this council has generated this cost increase or the cost increases that have happened. So the residents of Irmo were paying less than we were being billed. And every year or every couple of years, it's been going up because it had to, because that cushion was no longer going to be available. So now we are basically at, and if you look at the accounting, we are basically at the cost of what we're getting right now today versus what we're paying. I do have a question for the town administrator, Mr. Mayor, if that's okay.
Yes.
Bob, what percentage, if you can, or at least general, what percentage of our sanitation expenditures as a town is going to our hauler versus going to the counties for dumping and tipping?
I can give you prices, but I can't really give you a percentage off the top of my head. We pay Tyler a fixed rate about $91,000 a month right now. And we're paying approximately $8,500 to $9,300 for Richland County tipping fees. And we pay about $3,000 a month for recycling. Those are the figures.
I understand. So
That's what we're paying now.
12 to 13,000 a month, give or take, to the county? Did I hear that right? 9,000 and
Right, 8,000 to about 9,500, somewhere in that neighborhood. It fluctuates based on tonnage.
okay. All right, thank you.
Well, thank you, and Bill, I can understand your agita over this, and it's not a matter of just building a cushion. It's a matter of, we're gonna have to make a decision whether we wanna do recycling, whether we wanna continue doing that. That's like you found out, it's $3,000 a month. They're going up, and it's not taking half of what we're trying to recycle. They don't take glass, they don't take, styrofoam. You know, it's a list of stuff that they don't take that I think they should be taking as a recycler. But we're stuck with what we are able to deal with. Unless we go with another recycling company, right now we're dealing with Sunoco. If we go with another company out of North Carolina, we don't know what their prices are, but we might shop around if that would give us a better deal. But the bottom line is, we have to make a tough decision as a council. Do we want to have recycling? Do we want to have our garbage picked up in a timely manner? And do we want to continue to pay a cost that we don't have control over the tipping fees? And if our recycler decides to go up, we don't have any choice in that matter. We have to pay it if we want to continue to provide that. So that's why I think the $300 is $25 a month for garbage fees is not so outrageous that we can't sustain that as a town.
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to be transparent for our townspeople at this. I'd like to let them see the numbers. Why can't we do that? Why can't we break that all down and let them see the numbers so that they? I just find it ironic that I just got pushback from on the Matthias situation, and he's not a taxpayer or a voter in the town of Irmo, and the gentleman right there is a taxpayer and a voter in the town of Irmo, and we're not considering what he has to say. And frankly, I was on the edge on this coming into tonight, but Mr. Stewart convinced me that we need to be a little bit more transparent, at least more transparent, so that they can understand because it is complicated. And you don't have the breakdown just by the question that Councilman Sickinger asked. We don't really know what's going on there. The numbers, they tell me what we need to do, but they don't tell the townspeople what we need to do. And I think that's only fair that we be a little bit more transparent. That's all I'm asking for.
Well, we are transparent. I mean, it's clear that we are getting charged more for dumping our garbage. It's not like we're saying we're going to raise the fees because we want to have a cushion just to have a cushion. No, we are at a break-even point with our fees right now. We were subsidizing it, and we can't do it anymore. And we had got, like I said, we just got a letter that they're going to charge more to take our trash and our recycling. So I agree. We are trying to be transparent, and if there is any more transparency needed, I'm sure we can provide that, or if anybody wants to ask us, we can do that.
Point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
Previously, Lexington and Richland residents of Irmo were being charged different rates for trash. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is across the board, though. This is uniform. Okay,
Could I bring up an idea, Mr. Mayor?
sure.
Mr. Stewart, do you get the emails from the town of Irmo? You're on this, okay. Would it be helpful if Bob sent out an email saying, this is what we pay and this is why it's going? I think that's a good idea,
All right,
because it's mine.
sure.
Yeah, we could post it on the website too, but I want them to know, we didn't arbitrarily do this, it's because we had to.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
thank you. Will the clerk read, any more comments? I'm sorry.
This would just put more pressure on Richland County, take some off of us. That's what I'm trying to do here.
Any more comments? Will the clerk read the roll, please?
Mr. Bush,
Yay.
Ms. Condon,
Yay.
Mr. Danielson,
Nay.
Mr. Sickinger,
No.
Mayor Walker,
Yes. Okay. Item G, to approve the purchase of 300 sorry. The approval of purchase 300 recycled roll carts from Ardo Environmental in the amount of $15,000. This is something put on by staff. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Sickinger and Ms. Condon. Go ahead, Mr. Sickinger.
I want to note that in the presence of having no other people motioning or seconding, motioning does not mean an approval. I did do some research onto this, and $50 per card is less than retail for sure. Bob, question. When someone builds a new house in the town of Irmo on an empty lot,
Yeah.
does the town receive money directly from that builder or from that new homeowner to pay for expenditures that we incur as a result of them building a home on that lot?
Well, now we're going to get building permit fees and things like that. But the homeowner's not paying for the recycle cart or the household garbage cart. I mean, I tried to, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, tried this about 3 years ago with the old council, and they didn't want to start charging people because we'd always provided the recycle roll carts for about the last 10 years.
Thank you. Would that fall under an impact fee, or would that not fall under an impact fee? It impacts me. It impacts our budget. Thank you. Okay. So I believe that sounds like that might be an item for an agenda for later on in terms of both an impact fee and a charge for new roll carts, but recycle carts. But that was the information I needed. I wasn't sure if we charged for that. So I'm excited to see Irmo grow. That's kind of the natural state of course when you have empty land in an area like this. But $15,000, and at the same time, $15,000 plus our cushion right now in waste is another $15,000, give or take. So that would have paid for a whole year of trash. I mean, I'm in favor because they need a recycling cart, but this can't continue. It's for these freebies.
Without an impact fee.
That's right.
Okay. Ms. Condon?
We need the recycle bin, so, we need to pay it, but you're right. Somebody ought to reimburse us for this.
Okay. Mr. Bush?
Mr. Brown, so 300, is that some place where you get a discount by buying that many, or do we anticipate using 300 this year?
That's what we anticipate. We're down to, I think, 30 or 40 carts, and we've got about another 250 houses that are proposed to be built. So that would cover it. And we also replaced broken, damaged ones.
Yeah.
At no charge, of course. We need to talk about that. But
Yeah, it sounds like a logistical cost for tonight's meeting, and then a future meeting, we need to maybe really get into the workshop with garbage collection
Right.
and carts and impact fees and all that.
yeah,
But
this would cover us for probably 2.5, 3 years.
okay.
Mr.
I
Danielson?
don't see why, again, this would be for a workshop, but I don't see why when you provide a roll cart to a citizen that you cannot charge for that roll cart. You can recoup the funds you're paying. decides you want to recoup those funds, I see no reason why when a person gets a roll card that he would not be required to pay for it. It's their roll card, they're gonna be using it. Just an observation.
Well, and I don't mean to cut you off, Mr. Danielson, but the reason why is we haven't done it in the past, and we thought that it was a service of the town to provide anybody who needed a roll cart in a recycle bin those items. We don't want them people to think that since I paid for it, now it's mine, and when they move, they take it with them.
Well, that's
What we're trying not to have happen. So that's why we never really charged them, I believe. That was the thinking of the council back then.
And that's exactly the reason why there was pushback last time, because if they paid for it now up front and then they moved, they would
Right.
take it with them, we'd have to give the next
We
one.
have to
Now, it simply stays.
redo it, yeah, pay for it again.
It stays with the house now. You know, we've got people that have roll carts that have been out there 10, 15 years. And we've only had to buy them once, you know, for the most part.
Okay. Any, Mr. Dance?
Yeah, quick question. How many do we replace? How many on an annual basis do we replace by being abused and beat up? Why can't we back charge our people for the handling of those things? That's the only way they get beat up. They throw them in the middle of my driveway and I back over them.
You have a backup camera on that fancy car?
Any more comments? Will the clerk read the roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Ms. Condon?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Mayor Walker?
Yes. Okay, we're almost there, folks. Approval to cancel the December 1st meeting, council meeting, for the tree lighting and the other
So moved.
events. Huh?
Second?
I'll second that too.
Wait a minute. Okay, y'all did it. All right, thank you. Any comments? Any comments?
I just want to make sure we'll still have a business meeting in December, correct?
Yes, we will call a special meeting sometime after that.
Let's float it.
Okay. Clerk, read the roll, please.
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Ms. Condon?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yay.
Mayor Walker?
Yes. And we'd like to have a special call meeting sometime next week, maybe? The next week? Is that all right with everybody?
We can work on it on email.
No, the next week after December 1st. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right, approval of the 2020 council meeting schedule. This is what we do every year. We go through the calendar and say, okay, these are the dates we would like to have council meetings, and these are the dates we would like to not have council meetings. And since we've changed our meeting schedule to once a month, starting, last meeting, 2 meetings ago, I don't know of any dates we need to change. Do you have any? We'll make a motion for approval of that?
Yeah, so moved for discussion.
I'll second.
All right, go ahead. I don't know of any dates we need to.
I mean, there's a number of dates on here that I don't know if anyone would want to be here. January 5th, July 6th, just stick out to me.
Why not January 5th? I don't understand. It's a council workshop now, not a meeting.
I understand.
The meetings are.
I understand, but I'd like to be here for every meeting. So I would just prefer it not be that close to New Year's.
Okay, so are you calling the workshops the same thing as a meeting, Bob?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it says council workshop and regular meeting.
Right. Right.
So we're talking about canceling meetings here, workshops.
This is the meeting schedule, and the council meeting schedule has workshop and meetings listed. So, I mean, even though it's a workshop and it's not a business meeting, it's still something scheduled in advance.
Right.
Anyway, well, my objection is January 5th and July 6th.
I went through all these dates to see, excuse me, if there were any conflicts with other national holidays like July 4th. And July 6th was the only one, because the 5th will be a national holiday. So it's a national,
Yeah.
2 days after my birthday, so. That's the only one I could find a problem with. I don't near anything, so
That July 6th is 7 days before my birthday, so it's out.
I understand, yeah.
Okay, so it's, all right, well,
People born in July.
Not gonna combine those
Mr. Sickinger is correct. I mean, we could simply take all the workshops off because all you're approving are the actual
meetings, right.
I just put that on there just for reference.
Okay.
Because we're still meeting on Tuesdays. First and third Tuesday, nothing changed
Yeah.
there.
Right.
How you want to do business. But if you would like, I can remove all the workshop, or you just approve the actual meeting dates.
Yeah, then I'm in favor of the regular meetings.
Yeah, are there any meeting dates that are on here that we don't want? And the workshops, we can cancel at any time, right?
Or we can move it around.
Or we can move it around, right. We can move it around, the workshops, right?
You can move them anywhere you want. You're just by law required to have one meeting a month.
Right, and so that's what we're talking about, meetings tonight, not workshops, so.
Right, fair enough. I call the question.
So, does anybody have a object to any of these dates except for July 6th, which it seems to be the national birthday of the council, so.
I just want the record to reflect, I love Irmo so much I would show up for any one of these dates. I'd even come here.
You would?
I would be here on
Okay.
a Sunday if need be.
All right,
As would I.
gotcha.
That's my commitment to the town.
I'll show up July 6th, even though I'll still be celebrating. I'll show up.
All right. So, no changes? All right, the clerk read the roll, please, for approval.
Yay.
Ms. Condon?
Yay?
Mr. Daniels?
Yay.
Mr. Siggins?
Yay?
Mayor Walker?
Yay. Thank you, yes. Approval to file a lawsuit in circuit court on the dilapidated property at 1250 Lake Murray Boulevard. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All right, Mr. Sickinger.
I'm in favor.
Mr. All right, Ms. Condon?
I've lived here 38 going on 39 years, and I've heard complaints about this building for that entire time.
30 years.
I'm sure it goes before that even, but the problem with the asbestos and other undesirable things, I think we have to deal with it, and I don't know any other way than this. I do know that at one time, and this was several years ago, I had I don't know whether it's an honor, but I was on the front page of the State, standing next to that building, talking about the dilapidation and the rats that were running from the building to the bank next door. And I got probably the most calls ever on any subject for that. So I'm in favor.
Okay. Mr. Bush?
Although I'm strongly in favor of property owners' rights, I believe this is beginning to infringe on others. So I'm somewhat, now, I would like to consult the town attorney if I could and just, this is going to be proper and kind of
My understanding was,
Move.
last meeting when it ended, y'all told me to do what I felt we needed to do. I filed the lawsuit we're approving right now, November the 10th.
Yeah.
It's filed and in the process of being served.
Yeah. We have a high probability of this being functional, right? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
so one thing for certain, you don't hit the shot you don't take. I believe I can prove it to be a nuisance.
All right, enough. Thank you.
Bill?
I'm in favor.
Okay. Well, I have a dossier on the asbestos problem, which is emanating from that building. It's affecting our community. We need to get it eradicated, and as it needs to be done sooner than later. If the town has to do it, I'm pretty confident we'll spend the funds to do it. in order to protect our citizens. Will the clerk, any more comments? Will the clerk read the roll, please?
Yay.
Ms. Condon,
Yay.
Mr. Daniels,
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger,
Yay.
Mayor Walker.
Yes. Thank you very much. This is a presentation by citizens. This is a time when citizens, you can come and make comments to the council on anything that you want to let us know that you want the council to know about. It is not a time for personal attacks. It's not a time for arbitrary comments. You're limited to 3 minutes on your comments. Is there anybody who wishes to address council? Give us your name and address, please.
George Glassmeyer, 100 Denbeck Road. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I've looked forward to this opportunity to have a live meeting for several months. Hopefully, I can say what I want to say tonight without being interrupted and without being hung up on like I was when I called into a Zoom meeting, and without my mic being muted as the mayor did to another citizen at a recent Zoom meeting. I have a number of issues I want to discuss. First of all, as to recycling, I think council needs to be cognizant. It's my understanding that the tipping fees for recycled goods is less than it is for households, so you need not do anything to discourage recycling because that saves us money at the end of the day. The second thing I want to address is the mayor, during presentation by citizens, mentioned a letter of invitation that I got from Miss Atria at Lake Murray Country to visit. I'm a little distressed, first of all, that he mentioned that because that item's not on the agenda at all. But I'm even more distressed by his characterization of the meeting because you weren't there, Mr. Mayor. And I also resent the fact that you characterized my relationship with Ms. Atria as having animosity, and that's not correct either. I'm definitely opposed, as I made clear at the meeting when council decided whether or not to give her organization money. I was concerned as to how much bang for the buck the town's going to get given her expenditures and the fact that her annual salaries for that organization approaches $500,000 according to the most recent 990 available. I did meet her. We had a productive meeting. She was mistaken about a few facts, and we got those cleared up. And she did indeed invite me to appear at her board of directors, and I declined that because I felt that those people don't work for me like you people do, and I don't have any control over what salary they give her. But I do have control, or at least some input, as to how you spend my tax dollars and my revenue and how much you give to that organization. The final thing I want to talk about is I looked at a recent story in the Irmo News regarding the reported $25,000 settlement that was made by the town's insurance carrier, presumably in the case involving Ms. Patricia Witt, a town resident. And Mr. Mayor, you were cited in that story as saying that the settlement is not costing the town any money. I think that's disingenuous at best. Admittedly, the town didn't write that check. I get that. But the town's insurance carrier did. And as Mr. Brown correctly points out, the town is likely to suffer an increase in insurance premium rates because of that settlement. Nobody gets nothing for nothing. It's just like if you got an auto claim, you're likely to suffer an insurance or a premium increase. If you've got a homeowner's claim, you're likely to suffer a premium increase. The town's no different. So again, I think what you said was disingenuous at best, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to make comments, Mr. Yeah, Mr. Stewart, I know his name. Mr. Stewart, thank you.
David.
Mr.
David Stewart, 101 Glossop. I know that's a hard name to say, but it's from an English settlement or something, some European war in England. I don't know. That's the whole Coatsworth subdivision. I wanted to thank the councilman and the mayor for your approach to the item on the agenda regarding the increase in the fee, and I was corrected by official that this is regarding the tipping fee. And I appreciate this suggestion by Councilman Condon that we do the best we can to inform the citizens before we make these kinds of decisions, because there will be thousands of people who will wake up one morning and they will see a change in their tax bill, and they're going to wonder, what in the world happened? And you know who's they're going to blame it on. So unless you are able to make sure that these people understand and that you are transparent enough, I'm not saying they're going to agree with you. I'm not saying they're going to be less disagreeable about it, but at least they'll be informed. On top of voting to have an increase or to start the hospitality tax, then you're going to be voting to increase the tax on their tax bill in the same night. Now, you look around, there's not that many people here, but they're going to hear about it, and they're going to say, what in the world are these jackboots doing? They're raising the fees, they're raising the taxes. It's a new crowd up there. We got to watch out for them. I know there was this blue granite thing that we got involved in because it was before the PC, the commission. Maybe we ought to think about having the town get involved in what they can do about talking to waste industries. Maybe they can start a rebellion of some sort with all the other municipalities and find out what the hell's going on. And they've got us over a barrel because maybe we ought to organize. Maybe we ought to get together with other groups that are having to do the same thing and see what the heck's going on, see why they want to increase their fees. Maybe it's time for them to be a little bit more transparent. Thanks for letting us know what you're doing. I don't get to come to these meetings very often, but when I see something on the agenda, thanks, Bob, for sending that to me. But there are a lot of people who don't get it. The more people that are on your mailing list for other matters, the better we can get the information out to them. Thanks for your time.
Is there anybody else who would like to address council on anything? Seeing none. Discussion, there's no discussion tonight. Executive sessions, we don't have any. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Mr. Sickinger made a motion, Mr. Bush seconded. We are adjourned.
Nope, we got to vote.
Vote. I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye, yay.
And pass, but good. Get out of here. Thank you. Yes, sir. Oh, we got to vote. I was trying to get under 8:30.